Presidential Election Court, sitting at the Appeal Court complex in the nation's capital, Abuja, is getting set for a takeoff to what looks like an interesting week as counsel to all parties agree on the timeline for witnesses and other related issues. Today, candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, gave an indication that 100 witnesses will be mounting the witness box. Just like his Labour Party counterpart, Mr. Peter Obi says 50 will be appearing for them. The president-elect and his party, the APC, 64 witnesses are set to take the witness box for them. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, has been following the proceedings and has this report.
The picture of what the actual hearing will look like is becoming clearer as the petitioners have told the Presidential Election Petition Court of how many witnesses they will be calling in an attempt to nullify the election of the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress. The Presidential Election Petition Court is back for its sitting for the fourth time this week. This session is for all the parties to streamline the numbers of witnesses that will testify and the time allocated for each. The presidential candidate of Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is also in the courtroom to witness the day's proceedings. The atmosphere in the room is calm as they wait for the commencement of the sitting. The first case to be called at the resumed sitting is the People's Democratic Party. The lead counsel, Mr. Chris Uche, reads out the agreements of parties to the suit concerning the number of witnesses to be called, the allotted time to testify, and the procedures for tendering documents from expert witnesses. According to him, the party will call 100 witnesses within 3 weeks. Star witnesses for the petitioners and respondents will testify for 30 minutes. 15 minutes for each respondent for cross-examination, 5 minutes for re-examination. Other witnesses are expected to testify for 10 minutes for cross-examination. The Labour Party will present 50 witnesses within 7 weeks. The star witnesses will need 30 minutes to testify, 20 minutes each to cross-examine the witnesses, and 5 minutes for re-examination. The president-elect is presenting 39 witnesses within 9 days to prove his case against Atiku. 7 witnesses within 9 days are expected to prove his case against Peter Obi, excluding expert witnesses to defend his election victory. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will present 2 witnesses to testify in Atiku's petition. It will present 5 witnesses within 7 days in Obi's petition. The All Progressive Congress aligns with the counsel to Tinubu and Shettima, but adds that it will be presenting 7 witnesses in 9 days in Obi's petition and 25 witnesses in 9 days in Atiku's petition. Counsel to Peter Obi, Mr. Awakalu, gives reasons for asking for 7 weeks for the witnesses. He says the party faced some hiccups at the INEC office as the electoral body have not allowed them carry out a forensic examination of the beavers. He adds that they are also waiting for some documents they have requested from the commission. Counsel to INEC, Mr. Abubakar Mahmood, however, says he's not aware of any hiccups faced by the party. He also says he had no agreement with either Obi or the Labour Party on time to be allocated to the witnesses. All the respondents say they must be given 48 hours notice before any expert witnesses would be brought to testify in the matter. The 5-man panel also hinted of plans to consolidate the 3 remaining petitions challenging the outcome of the election. Justice Samani told the councils to address the court on whether the petitions should be consolidated as provided in paragraph 50 of the first schedule of the Electoral Act 2022. However, the council sought for time to consult and revert to the court on the issue.
We are very happy with the progress that is being made and also the sacrifice that the court itself is making. So once we finish with this pre-hearing, we now go into the actual hearing.
50. That's what we have asked for. And I assure you that if we call 50 witnesses, the truth will be known.
The court subsequently adjourned to May 22 for continuation of hearing. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Still on legal matters, on Friday, a federal high court in Kano gave an indication and a judgment which shook the foundation of the Labour Party across the country. But soon after that, Justice Mohammed Yunusa clarified that judgment did not include the Abia governor-elect, Alex Otti, as he was not joined in the case. Today, the Labour Party National Legal Advisor, Mr. Kehinde Edun, in a press conference in Abuja, explained that the party was taken aback by the interpretation of the judgment, especially because the prayers before the court were pre-election matters. According to him, the Labour Party may consider appealing the Kano State judgment just to clear the confusion surrounding it and on the status of some of its members.
What they were alleging and their prayer to the court and was that they were saying that the party did not submit a register of members, and because it did not submit, and that is a mandatory provision in section 77, that because we did not submit, that means that the votes scored by our candidates at the election are invalid. Well, that is never correct. We submitted the hard copy, we submitted the electronic copy of the membership register as when due, and that our candidates are qualified, and in the first place, if you want to challenge the outcome of the primaries and the submission of a party's name to INEC,
In the meantime, some elected members of the House of Representatives for the 10th National Assembly across different political parties' platforms say they will field Speaker and Deputy Speaker candidates. The elected lawmakers have agreed to present a consensus candidate which will challenge the candidates put forward by the ruling APC. This decision was reached today after their meeting at the Transcorp Hotel in Abuja with some speakership aspirants like Mr. Aliyu Betara, Yusuf Gagdi, Miriam Onoha, and others in attendance. This move appears to be a direct defiance of the APC zoning arrangement as announced by the National Working Committee. Without prejudice to the position of some lawmakers-elect, Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, is asking the legislators to accept the position of the president-elect and his party regarding the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. The governor, who spoke on the sidelines of a book presentation in honor of Governor Nasir El-Rufai in Kaduna State, believes that the National Assembly members-elect should respect the decision and choice of the APC on the 10th National Assembly leadership in order to enable the incoming administration succeed in delivering its campaign promises to the people.
It's not going to be only because you're a member of APC or you're not a member of APC. You want Nigerians who have the capacity to help him to deliver what will make Nigeria to be great. So with that standing, I have the belief that it means well for this country. I don't want to, when a government is formed, I don't want to be carried away when there are a lot of work to be done. Putting the best team is the first thing for him. Nobody can do it alone. Nobody has the whole knowledge. But the capacity to put in the best in will determine that, yes, this country is now ready to add to what the present administration has done. So I have that belief that he's really ready for the job. No president can do very well if he does not have that leadership that will cooperate with him. You remember what happened in 2015? That affected the performance of the present administration. So I think that the APC should see it for the interest of Nigeria. Let them respect the leadership of their party and the president to move forward.
To other issues now, more Nigerians are expressing concern regarding the debt burden in the country, which stands at over 70 trillion naira. And sadly, the nation still has plans to borrow even more. And this is not going down well with the primate of the Anglican Church, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, as he criticizes the leadership over increasing borrowing amidst rising inflation, unemployment, and poverty. The primate spoke at the 12th Synod of the Diocese of Abuja. On the other hand, the former Minister of Information and National Orientation, Professor Jerry Ghana, is asking that justice prevail as the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal.
It's the 12th Synod of the Diocese of Abuja, and as expected, high-ranking officials of the Anglican Communion and other members are in attendance.
Through the proof of the Word of God.
The Synod provides a platform for members to appraise themselves as Christian faithful while speaking up on key issues that could assist in nation building. Issues of the economy top the agenda of the Anglican primates this time.
We are concerned about our national economy, and especially with the borrowing that is going on and the rising inflation.
Also on the mind of the primate is the issue of poor infrastructure, which has served as a setback to the nation's development.
We urge the government to address the infrastructural deficit of this nation. There is need for them to complete some strategic industries, such as the steel rolling mill at Ajaokuta, put into function and production our refineries, and also improve on power generation.
After sessions of prayers and songs, the service ends. Former Minister of Information and Culture, Professor Jerry Ghana, and the former Anglican primate speak on the ongoing court cases and the nation's security.
It's extremely important as we proceed that the court processes now before the tribunals are handled with very sincere justice. There must not be manipulation. The judges should do their very best to ensure not just judgment, but justice.
One observes that after the elections, there is a resurgence of killings and so on and so forth. So we don't know why this is so. So we are praying that it is not a signal about what is coming.
It's 2 weeks to the inauguration of a new government. Nigerians will be watching to see if the concerns raised here will be given a thought by the government.
In part two, after the break, President-elect Bola Tinubu is back to the country after spending a few days in France, putting finishing touches to his inauguration plan. Details in a moment. Join us again.
Oh, I wish you were here.
I'm always with you.
But it's not the same without you.
MTN 5G's amazing technology will change how we experience life and the internet. Get ready to encounter the incredible, and remember, no be juju, na MTN 5G.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live from Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Counsel to political parties line up witnesses ahead of the legal battle at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Lawyers to all parties at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal agree to speed up proceedings, set time limit for witnesses, as well as for cross-examinations. Former President Goodluck Jonathan opens up on the security challenges under his watch, says he had nightmares and sleepless nights. Russia reacts to plans by the United States to supply advanced fighter jets to Ukraine, warns it will be a huge risk. Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan says the insecurity in the country under his administration gave him nightmares and sleepless nights. He made the revelation when he commissioned a 22-kilometer dual carriage road in Taraba State. The former president asked residents in Taraba State to live in peace and harmony for development to succeed.
It's less than 2 weeks to the inauguration of a new administration in Taraba State, and the state government is embarking on commissioning of projects in different parts of the state. The 22-kilometer dualized Yola-Wukari Road project is the latest in a series of activities to mark the end of the present administration in the state. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is a guest of honor at the event. The state government is targeting increased economic activities in rural communities, and Governor Darius Ishaku is hopeful that the road constructions will facilitate that. Nevertheless, he disputes statistics, putting the state as one of the most indebted in the country.
It is on record that Taraba State, on the recent analysis of economies, were the second on the table of 36 states, second at the bottom. That is least borrowed state in the whole country of 36 states. We are second from the bottom. So for those who say we're over-borrowed, I want to tell you we're under-borrowed. This gigantic project has been constructed to ease vehicular movement and for the safety of the residents of the state capital. This has given the state capital a facelift befitting the state capital. We are optimistic that more roads project will soon be commissioned before the end of this administration.
For former President Goodluck Jonathan, infrastructural development can only thrive in a peaceful environment. He laments the impact of insecurity in the country during his tenure.
As the president, I know what security challenges could be. I remember in those days, sometimes I'll be in the church on Sunday. My ADC's phone will be on, monitoring what is happening all over the country, and while in the church, you will show me attack somewhere, attack some. You can imagine you're in the church, and your ADC is showing you his phone, and you're seeing somewhere people are being attacked. In fact, it kills you sleepless nights. Some nights I don't sleep. So when the security of a place is much better, I'm always appreciative. And this is happening because the people of Taraba have decided to live in peace. We are commissioning this flyover for our use, to the glory of God. Amen.
Aside from commissioning the road, the former president also flagged off the construction of heavy-duty vehicles park on the outskirts of Jalingo, the state capital.
The president-elect, Mr. Bola Tinubu, has returned to the country from his working visit to France. This return is exactly 8 days to his inauguration as president of Nigeria. The private jet of the two-term governor of Lagos State landed at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja at about 2:15 p.m., where he was welcomed by his supporters, party members, and some governors. Amongst the delegation were his vice president-elect, Senator Kashim Shettima, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, Senator Ahmed Lawan, and the ruling party's anointed candidate for the post of Senate President in the 10th Assembly, Senator Godswill Akpabio. According to a source close to the president-elect, the He departed Nigeria to fine-tune his transition programs and policy options with some of his key aides. The 2 terms of President Muhammadu Buhari will come to an end on May the 29th. When he assumed office in 2015, he promised Nigerians that his administration will focus on the economy, fight corruption, and provide security. 8 years on, our correspondent, State House correspondent Gloria Omezuke, takes a look at how the administration has fared in this regard.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
President Muhammadu Buhari made this declaration during his inauguration as Nigeria's 15th president. The first few months of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration were replete with promises, charting his own course on a 3-pronged agenda: security, economy, and anti-corruption. Not only did President Buhari direct an immediate relocation of the military command center to the northeast in an attempt to halt the preponderance of attacks, but he also increased budgetary allocation to the military. With terror activities falling by 2022 below the 2014 levels, the government still grappled with growing banditry and secessionist movement in the southeast.
I extend the same condolence to the families and friends of our countrymen, women and children who are unfortunate victims of such senseless arsons, kidnappings, and murders.
The progress or lack of progress thereof was no deterrence, as the administration also embarked on a national infrastructure revival drive as part of efforts to get the economy running.
It's clear, the evidence is there that a lot of effort is being put in by the government. So if you're going to rate them there, you have to rate them much better, that there has been progress in that area. So really, at the end of the day, you're going to have to look in different dimensions as to how the administration has done. I think overall, it is still a tepid performance.
Funding for the Ministry of Works and Housing also increased from 18 billion naira in 2015 to 216 billion naira by 2023. The idea was erected on the quest to unlock the economy and encourage investment in the country, but he failed to stop the debts from piling from 12.6 trillion naira to over 80 trillion naira, and an unwelcome milestone of a historic inflation.
If you borrow and invest properly, and there is a way of those ports paying for themselves, because they do have the capacity. If those funds that were borrowed to develop them are not captured into private pockets, or most of them are captured into private pockets. So the idea is like every other idea. I will not judge at the level of ideas or their contribution. It's still too early and it's ongoing. We still have the Lekki port and the rest of them.
By 2017, the president's health deteriorated, necessitating a lengthy medical vacation lasting a record 152 days. The years leading up to the COVID-19 pandemic saw shorter visits, and in those intervening periods, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, carried on the business of governance seamlessly. The reputational capital of the president grew in 2018 when he apologized to the late Moshood Abiola's family, conferring on him a posthumous award of GCFR and declaring June 12 as the New Democracy Day. The story of the anti-corruption drive of the Buhari-led administration is a mixed bag of opinions.
Fighting impunity maybe should take precedence. And we have seen it when we see a public official that was allegedly, stealing 5 billion. And if you really want to fight corruption, you start with people who are related to you.
In a chat with Mr. Garba Shehu, one of his spokespersons, the president's belief that he has done his very best for the country was re-echoed.
Well, go and look at the space. Buhari has licensed far more private universities in the country than anyone had ever done, had ever dreamed of. My own sense is that we as Nigerians, we don't like our leaders. There will be love at first sight. There will be honeymoon period when they come in. The honeymoon doesn't last a year. So we are comfortable in our hearts, in our minds. President Buhari will go. Nigerians will yearn for him.
Some of the landmark reforms include the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act in 2021, the 2022 Electoral Amendment Act, the 2019 Police Trust Fund Act, and the Not Too Young to Run Bill 2018, among others. Analysts, however, maintain more can be done.
For example, the change in the new Naira notes that we issued, it just set everything back to zero for most industries. And they're finding they're having to crawl out of difficult positions that they got into as a result of a poorly managed process.
On May 29, 2023, Senator Bola Tinubu will be taking the oath of office, and there will be significant attention and expectations on how he accelerates actions to address the lingering challenges, hopefully aiming to outpace his predecessors. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
For more insight on how the presidency has fared in the last 8 years, we have Professor Femi Otunbajo, a professor of political science and currently a research professor at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Victoria Island, Lagos. He spoke with my colleague, Millicent Walker, and she started by asking him about his assessment of the 8 years of the president's administration.
So sure that you can say that Nigerians are better off today in terms of the quality of living than they were 8 years ago. Things have really gone, cost of living has gone haywire. I can see that. And of course, when you have massive joblessness, jobs are the source of income for people and the major means of poverty reduction. If families have people who don't have jobs, young people who are graduating from different levels of education who have no jobs. So the income of the family could not have improved in the last 8 years. So I'm worried that we may be in a worse condition. I mean, the cost of living is of course outrageous. We know that people are paying more for everything and getting less value for their money. You want to buy plantain today, you buy 4 small pieces that look like bananas for 1,000 naira. So you want to buy yam that was 200, 300 is now, to get a tuber, you are getting 1,200. So really, although measures have been introduced, but we cannot see the result. It is the optics. What you see is not what is said. You know, those who argue for the president are likely to be throwing out macroeconomic figures. They're going to be talking about gross domestic product, increase in foreign direct investment. They're going to be talking about control of inflation and so on. But we are looking at the consequences. What are the consequences of all these economic performance indices on the people? I mean, the best you can say for the government is that there are economic problems all over the world. It's not unique to Nigeria. But Prof. To say that the economic policies have succeeded is a different ballgame.
The president's relationship with the National Assembly in his first term in office was not so rosy, but then that improved in his second term. However, the president seemed to have enjoyed a much more cordial relationship with the judiciary throughout the years. Would you say the principles of separation of powers or checks and balances played out in the last 8 years?
Well, more at the federal center, yes, more or less so. Basically, you know, the executives, the executive arm of government has an advantage, has all the resources, and therefore tries to muzzle in on the jurisdictions of other areas. At the state level, is almost no separation of powers. You know, the state assemblies are just simple departments of the governor's office. The judiciary is no better. You have a situation in which the governor goes to give cars to the chief judge, to the judges, and makes a big drama, a big exhibition of giving cars to the judges. That's ridiculous given the principle of the separation of powers. But at the federal level, the Ninth Assembly was a little bit smarter than the 10th in terms of the relationship with the executive. Tried to assert its independence, its autonomy. They are supposed to work together but they are co-equal arms of government.
Femi Otunbajo analyzing the presidency in the last 8 years. And still ahead on the news at 10, all eyes on the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee as it holds the third-rate decision meeting this year. And that will be on Business News. Join us again.
With Glow, bonus not dey finish. Buy a Glow Save and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus on top every recharge, plus double data bonus on all data plans.
Welcome back. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has commissioned and unveiled the SAIL Innovation Lab, which is an initiative of the senator representing Lagos East constituency, Senator Adetokunbo Abiru. The project is dedicated innovation and tech lab that is providing relevant technology, business, and digital skills to tech enthusiasts, as well as young entrepreneurs across the Lagos East Senatorial District.
This is the Senator Abiru Innovation Lab, otherwise known as SAIL Innovation Lab. The hub is the first of its kind in the Senatorial District. The built-for-purpose masterpiece is equipped with 2 computer labs that could seat over 100 participants, 2 training rooms, and STEM class for 30 teenagers. But the founders say there is more.
We cultivate these young people who are novice in technology and innovation, and by the time they are coming out of here, they become, junior developers, so that they can get jobs and move on in life. The other program, the second program, is called the STEM program. The STEM is for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's also for the younger ones between the ages of 12 to 18. It's like what they say, catch them young and begin to, inculcate this vision in them.
I can categorically say to you that this is not just another project, but a passion, because he believes in the youth and the power of the right education. More importantly, Senator Tokunbo Abiru believes that excellence, hard work, and the right experiences can deliver a great future for anyone who chooses to take the lessons.
Building partnerships is one of the things the Lagos State government takes seriously, and this collaboration with the SAIL Innovation Lab is a priority to the governor as he unveils and then tours the facility.
To the glory of God and to the benefit of mankind. Thank you very much. For us as a government, we've seen another partner, because what it means is that we need to scale up things like this. We need to be able to build facilities like this in scale, meaning that in almost all local government, something like this is required.
Since inception, the SAIL Innovation Lab has recorded some significant milestone, as almost 500 participants have benefited from the several programs in person, while 2,000 have participated online from the Lagos East Senatorial District. And for SAIL Innovation Lab, this is just the beginning, as more is in the kits.
The chairman, National Population Commission, Honorable Nasir Isa Kwara, had earlier in the week said that 200 billion naira has been spent so far on preparations for the postponed 2023 housing and population census. The NPC chairman explained that though 800 billion naira was budgeted for the exercise, only 224 billion naira was presently released by the federal government. To discuss more on this, the Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission, Mrs. Abimbola Hundeyin, joins us live from our studios in the nation's capital, Abuja. A pleasure having you with us, Mrs. Hundeyin.
Thank you. Good evening, Nigeria, and good evening, channels. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, can you give us a breakdown on how the money was spent. I know the population the census has been postponed, and your chairman made that pretty clear, but just give us a breakdown of these numbers.
Well, you know, to give a breakdown of such a huge number within a few minutes is almost an impossible task. But I can tell you that the census preparatory activities, particularly the foundational one, which we call the enumeration area demarcation, had been fully completed by us. That means enumeration area demarcation is when we divide the whole nation into smaller portions so that it becomes easy for the enumerators to be able to enumerate during the census. And in doing this, we had gone all over Nigeria. It happened in 18 phases. That, you know, is a whooping sum of money. And that is the foundation, the architectural foundation of any good census anywhere. The enumeration area demarcation, which is also called the EAD, is also the basis for a national frame. And you know the importance of a national frame to any country. After that, we had the first pretest, the second pretest, we had even census chairs, and of course, you have seen a lot of our activities also on telly. We are and other media organizations. We have trained some of our functionaries. Usually, we even train those that will participate in the enumeration area demarcation before they actually go to the field. And if you would recall, the enumeration area demarcation itself was also carried out digitally. We used the satellite imagery, the GIS, and the personal digital assistants that the functionaries all over the country went around with them to ensure that they were able to capture each house. Don't forget again, because I've been to channels several times to discuss the enumeration area demarcation, that we did say to you that this time it is digital and that it is also geofenced. So it becomes easy for us during enumeration proper to be sure where our enumerators are. That means you cannot be in Channels TV and claim to be in any other place. And you cannot record here and go and record a falsified thing out there.
Okay.
All these were done over the years.
Okay, Mrs. Nderi, but do we have an idea when this exercise will begin?
No, we had carried it out. I've been in China several times, the enumeration area demarcation.
Not about the enumeration,
yes,
the actual census.
Okay, the actual census.
Yes.
Well, I do not, because you would recall that the the outgoing president, the present president, in his own wisdom, did say that it should be postponed. It's not cancelled. It's just a postponement. Even election had been postponed in the past. But you see, just that they would have given another date. I'm very certain with the incoming president, if you looked at his antecedent in Lagos State, he is very data-centric. And being a data-centric person, he would ensure that the census takes place. Because you know that the census is the only body anatomy a nation can rely on to ensure that proper decisions, informed decisions are taken that would enable the people of the nation to enjoy better life. So I would also let you know that the only way Nigeria can experience upward and irreversible development and sustainable development is to ensure that population issues are consciously and explicitly grafted into our decision making. And how do you do that if you do not understand the population? The only way you can understand the population is to ensure that the mother of all data, apart from other data that we used to have, is undertaken. The mother of all data is the census. And with that, you'll be able to know who is X, how many children do we have, how many youths, what do they do, where were they born, are the schools close enough to them, what is happening. Even our legislations will be based on the information from the census. Are you also aware that the census data would also enable us to check the insecurity ongoing in the country? Without a proper census, accurate, reliable, and accurately and appropriately carried out census, no nation can develop. The leaders will continue to beat their fists in the air as it appears to have been happening. And people There are a lot of brilliant people in Nigeria. Our leaders are not known entities. The only problem we have had is the fact that a nation is like a beautiful vehicle. It has a driver's seat, it has other seats, people are seated, it has everything a vehicle can have. It even has fuel, the natural resources. But then the destination where you want to give the people better lives is unknown, probably to the driver, because there is no navigation. And the only navigator that helps such men, such leaders to understand and get us to our El Dorado is the demographic data, the census of the country.
Okay, Mrs. Abimbola Hundeyi, a pleasure having you with us on the News at 10. She's the Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Now let's find out what's happening in the world of business with Anne Nwawudu.
Thank you, Melinda. Hello and welcome to Business News. We begin with the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is set to hold its third rates decision meeting this year. And this will happen next week amid rising inflation. The CBN on its website says the meeting is scheduled to hold on May the 23rd and the 24th to address the alarming inflation rate in Nigeria, which reached an 18-year high in the month of April. Meanwhile, at the last NPC meeting, the central bank had raised key interest rates from 17.5% to 18%, a decision many economists had faulted. GAC Motor, one of the world's leading automobile manufacturing company, is calling on Nigerians, especially those in the creative industry, to latch on its trade-in platform. Through its newly launched car swap program, GAC Motor in Nigeria is encouraging users to bring back their old GAC vehicles and drive out with a new one. This was made known at the official car swap event with Nollywood actress and entertainer Bisola Ayola.
5 years after rocking her old GS4, Nollywood actress and entertainer Bisola Ayola is here at the head office of the GAC Motors, Victoria Island, for a futuristic upgrade to the all-new GS4 SUV. The upgrade of Miss Ayola's vehicle signals the official launch of the car swap program by GAC Motors to set new standards for its Nigerian users.
After our first 6 years run, we have now come to an age where we believe people should start enjoying the second-hand value of GAC. So this project would usher in a trading platform where if you have an old GAC car, you can drive it into our showroom anywhere across the nation, and you can drive home immediately on same day with a brand new GAC car that is of today's technology.
Ms. Ayola, who has already tested the new GS4, shares the perks of owning a GAC vehicle.
When the new GS4 was launched, I was opportuned to ride in her. Hey! Sleek, smooth. We on engine, we did not know the engine was on. It was just like AC, just smooth. One of the features that I really liked most about it was the GPS. Seeing that I could use the GPS without being connected to the internet. It's connected to the satellite, so you cannot be stranded.
From the head office, they all moved to the G-Style showroom for the official handing over of the all-new GS4 SUV to Miss Ayola. GAC Motor prides itself in providing customers and car owners a unique driving experience. And with a goal to ensure every household has a GAC vehicle, they are championing the process of the second-hand value of GAC for users, encouraging Nigerians to embrace the new era of driving.
From there, we head to the domestic equities market. It recorded losses in the shares of top telecommunication player Airtel Africa on Thursday, triggered by market close as lower closing happened, causing the local bourse to suffer its second consecutive weekly loss. The all-share index declined by 0.05 to close at 52,107.55 points. Activity level were weak, as traded volume and values declined by 16.2% and 8.4% week-on-week. Sectoral performance was mixed, as the insurance, banking and consumer goods indices all posted gains, while the oil and gas and industrial goods sectors declined. FTN, cocoa processors emerged top gainer for the week as the stock price appreciated by 37.5%, while CWG led the decliners. Meanwhile, Fidelity Bank topped the trades by volume this week, followed by Access Holdings. And also, the NASDAQ OTC Securities Exchange Index closed the third trading week of the month in negative territory. That's business news for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. It's back to Melinda.
Many thanks. And on the international scene, the United States says it will support Ukraine with the provision of advanced fighter jets, including the US-made F-16S, and also back training Ukrainian pilots to fly them. A senior White House official said President Joe Biden had earlier informed the G7 leaders in Japan of that decision. President Volodymyr Zelensky, who had requested fighter jets for months now, said the gesture will greatly enhance the country's army in the sky. And back home, it was a gathering of who is who in the society as the remains of late Professor Nimi Briggs, a renowned medical doctor and university administrator, was laid to rest in Rivers State. The funeral service was held at a cathedral in his hometown of Abonema.
A solemn hymn kickstarting the funeral service of Professor Emeritus Nimi Briggs, the fifth Vice-Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, who passed on last month. Family, friends, invited guests converged on St. Paul's Nyamoni Lutheran Cathedral, Abonema, in Akoko Toru local government area of Rivers State for the ceremony.
We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
One of his children reels out his achievements academically and his contributions to the society.
Some of the prominent roles that he played during his lifetime were the chairman of various institutions, boards, foundations, and committees, some of which being the Federal Government Universities Union's renegotiation team from 7th March 2022 till his passing. He was the pioneer pro-chancellor and chairman of council for the Bayelsa University of Medical Sciences, and he was a member committee of pro-chancellors of state-owned universities in Nigeria from 2019 till his passing.
Taking the Bible reading from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 to 8, Most Reverend Nimi Fineface says, Professor Emeritus Nimi Briggs fought a good fight, finished well, and such examples must be followed by the people.
I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Our brother, Professor, he knew he was here for a cause, and he followed the cause.
More hymn songs to honor the Professor Emeritus for his dedication to the house of God.
Indeed, Professor Briggs was a medical luminary, mentor to so many medics, so many. An international figure. We have so much to remember him for, and so much to celebrate in his life for. And so we are here to say, mourn no more, cry no more. Just remember this wonderful person.
A word of prayer for the family of Briggs, the country, and Rivers State.
Pray for the family, the wife and the children, the entire family of our professor. Gracious and merciful God, continue to bless Nigeria. Now, as if we don't know where we are going, let him show us the way. Let him bless the country. We are expecting new government. Let there be peace. Let there be unity. And let there be progress.
Until his death, the late Briggs was a professor of obstetrics and gynecology, also the pro-chancellor of Federal University Abakaliki, Bayelsa Medical University, Yenagoa, and chairman Committee of Pro-Chancellors of Nigerian Universities. He's left his children, grandchildren, and a host of relatives.
In the world of sports, Manchester City have won the Premier League title for a fifth time in 6 seasons after Arsenal's defeat at Nottingham Forest. The result leaves Manchester City with an insurmountable 4-point lead at the top of the table over the Gunners, who have just one game remaining this season. A sensational run of 11 consecutive wins in the final weeks of the season has seen Manchester City dismantle Arsenal's charge for a first Premier League title since 2003. Manchester City face Chelsea on Sunday in their final home game of the season, where they will once again lift the trophy they have retained for the 3rd season in succession. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has taken responsibility for the Gunners' collapse as he congratulated Manchester City for winning the Premier League title. Arsenal will have to be content with the runners-up spot and a return to the Champions League after a 5-year absence. The defeat at Nottingham Forest means Arsenal have won only 2 of their last 8 matches in the league.
A lot of difficult emotions. Obviously, we lost the game. We lost the championship after 10.5 months fighting for it. 9.5 months almost on top of it. And obviously, we built a lot of illusion, enthusiasm, and belief that we could go all the way and win it. And at the end, we fell short. First of all, congratulate Man City. They are the champions. They deserve to be the champions. They've done it for 38 games. We haven't been able to do that. And that's it. And from my side as well, apologize because we have generated that belief and that we could do it. And at the end, the team wasn't able to do it. And this is my responsibility.
Meanwhile, Bryan Mbeumo scored twice as Brentford came from behind to earn a stunning 3-1 victory at Tottenham Hotspur and boost their hopes of securing European football next season. Manchester United defeated AFC Bournemouth 1-0 to close in on Champions League football next season. Roberto Firmino scored a last-minute equalizer to salvage a draw against Aston Villa and keep alive Liverpool's faint hopes of a top-4 finish. Joel Ward's late equalizer earned Crystal Palace a battling point against Fulham, while Everton's fight to avoid the drop will go to the final day of the season. That's despite Yerry Mina's last-gasp equalizer against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Real Madrid coach Carlo Ancelotti says the club have told him that he'll be staying in his role until the end of the season, and that's in 2024. The Italian, who has been linked with taking over as Brazil's coach, also said he wanted to see out his current deal with the Spanish club. Ancelotti led Real Madrid to a 14th Champions League crown and the Spanish league title last season after he returned for a second stint in 2021, but they have failed to reach those heights in the current campaign. Real Madrid exited the Champions League in the semi-finals, and they are 14 points behind Barcelona, who have been crowned La Liga champions. Holly Rune has moved to within one win of capturing his second ATP Masters 1000 title after he earned a comeback victory against Casper Ruud at the Rome Masters. In a tight clash, Rune rallied from a breakdown in the second set to overcome Ruud 6-7, 6-4, 6-2 and earn his 27th win of the season. The 20-year-old struck his ground strokes with power and showed deft touch at times, outfoxing Ruud in a series of cat-and-mouse exchanges to advance after 2 hours and 41 minutes. And the main news again. Legal fireworks would soon begin at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal as all eyes are now set for witnesses to be called by the different political parties to defend their petition. And former President Goodluck Jonathan today bared his mind in Taraba State as he told citizens and government officials that his worst nightmare was the state of insecurity in the country. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.